Before Macklemore and Ryan Lewis would dominate the 2014 Grammys, picking up 4 awards including Best New Artist. Before Thrift Shop and Can't Hold Us soared up the Billboard charts both to the #1 spot. Before the pair were the first Seattle-based artists to reach the #1 spot since Sir Mix-a-Lot back in 1992 with Baby Got Back.
You get sprung.
Before Macklemore's personal style resulted in a spike in sales for thrift stores around the world. The polished and polite Macklemore we know and love today, well, that's a far cry from the kid he was when he was in his early teens. The guy started drinking when he was 14, the first time by himself while listening to Tupac's All Eyez On Me. 2 years prior to that, he had started selling drugs, he was also smoking weed, and he had been fired from every job he had ever had. The guy also cheated his way through school, so when it came time to getting into some higher education, well, he had few options because he sucked on his SATs. In truth, all the man wanted to do was music, initially under the name Professor Macklemore. But the young man would have to battle his own demons, including addictions to drugs and alcohol, entering a rehab program, but thankfully he had made some great friends prior on MySpace, an artist and producer by the name of Ryan Lewis, also a woman by the name of Tricia Davis, who he would go on to marry. My name is Michael McCrudden, and welcome Before They're Famous, documenting the life of Macklemore prior to fame, here for you and Before They're Famous. Now, some of you guys have been requesting this bio video for some time. Game Boy Freak, that guy's been asking for this video each and every week. So here you go, I hope you enjoy it. As always, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to let me know in the comments down below who you want to hear about next. And you guys can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Twitter, a link is down below. Or should I say, a link is downtown. Man, I've been waiting to say that for a long time. Macklemore was born Ben Haggerty on June 19, 1983 in Seattle, Washington. He grew up in the Capitol Hill area. He grew up in a supportive family with father Bill Haggerty and Julie Choate encouraging his musical endeavors. He also has a younger brother named Tim. Now, his heritage that's made up mainly of being Irish. If the name Haggerty didn't tip you off, well, you wouldn't sport a leprechaun if it kissed you on the lips. Whoa, what happened there? Ben took up performance as a child and was influenced by the likes of hip-hop groups Criss Cross as well as Michael Jackson. But it was Digital Underground's The Humpty Dance Ben would become obsessed with.
You're gonna fall when the stereos pump me. I like to rhyme, I like my beats funky, I'm spunky, I like my oatmeal lumpy.
He would spend his time listening to music day in, day out. When he had free time, he'd go to the park, that's where he would freestyle, and later he would rap battle others at house parties. He became a small-time pot dealer at the age of 14, a job that came in handy as he progressed to Garfield High School. That is when he got involved heavily in drugs and alcohol. In fact, the first time he ever drank, he did it by himself. He'd got his hands on Tupac's All Eyez On Me, and he wanted to celebrate. So he just sat there listening to the music, nodding his head, drinking an oldie. Okay, I don't know if it was an oldie for sure, but it probably was. He got fired from every job he ever had in high school. One of these was working at a correctional facility for the youth. They said he had an attitude problem. He had another job working at the Seattle Zoo, but they didn't like the fact that he'd been stealing from the register and spending the money on recording equipment. His parents tried to put an end to his bad habits by moving him to a predominantly white school in the north end of town. But all he was into was his music. That, of course, and the drinking, and the drugs, and some sex. And by now he had been experimenting with shrooms, which he still credits today as leading to his spiritual enlightenment. At this time he had also found a flair for fashion and would pay frequent visits to the local thrift shops to style himself in a manner that allowed him to look like no one else. In fact, this shirt I'm wearing right here, I feel like it was inspired by Macklemore. Kinda looks like a sofa couch, but I heard it's all the rage. At 17 he released an EP dubbed Open Your Eyes under the moniker Professor Macklemore. Where did he get that name from? Well, he was enrolled in a summer arts program where they gave him a superhero wrapped in plastic. He had a graphic assignment where he had to make a label for the character, and he just came up with Professor Macklemore.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Let's roll a clip from his first album, Open Your Eyes.
It's a shame I'm an outsider outcast, put in the public school system with my peers. I honestly couldn't last.
Now, this is an album Macklemore hoped would never find its way onto the internet, but come on dude, it's like 2015. In fact, it's 2016. Actually, this was uploaded in 2014, around the same time he was blowing up. He had cheated mostly through school and did poorly on his SATs. This left him with few options for higher learning. He attended Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, a community college more or less. Again, he wasn't focusing on school, he was focusing on music, and he dropped his first full-length debut titled The Language of My World, which he dropped in 2005, and that opened up for him some doors. He booked some gigs, he started earning some money, he was only 22 years young, so with that money, well, he bought for himself more drugs, more alcohol, and was having a whole lot of sex, so he said. Throughout this chaos, Macklemore had recorded a track called Welcome to MySpace, about meeting women on the site and checking your messages over and over again. He then came up with the idea to forward this to MySpace founder Tom Anderson, who quite enjoyed it, and then forwarded it to his millions of friends. This track caught the attention of another Seattle-based artist, guitarist, producer, photographer, and visual artist known as Ryan Lewis. Now this guy had some music experience of his own. He had worked with a guy by the name of Skrillex on From First to Last, and well, the two got to talking. Also, Macklemore was talking to a girl by the name of Tricia Davis, but she was hard in her studies. She wanted to become a nurse, so the two would have to hook up later. And they would get married. How cute! But around this time, Macklemore, his life was getting a little out of hand. His addictions, they were becoming overpowering, and his music, it was suffering. Finally, his father came to him and said, "You gotta get some help," and he was entered into a 35-day rehab facility for his alcohol drug addictions, including that of oxycodone. Yeah, he was enjoying that stuff as well. At the end of the summer in 2008, he walked out of the program a new man. It was then he would hook up with Ryan Lewis in a serious attempt to make something of their combined talents. Now, he did relapse for a short time in December of 2011. If you want to hear more about that experience, check out his track Starting Over. Together, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, they released the Versus Redux EP, and rather than go the traditional record label route, the duo opted to stay independent and began working on their full-length debut. Now, they relied on their own marketing, their own business savvy, and their own hard work. They also got on Kickstarter and they raised over $18,000 to make a music video for Wings.
Nike Air Flight book bag was so dope. And then my friend Carlos's brother got murdered for his fours.
That's actually when I first heard about the guy. What a fantastic tune. Now around this time they started to receive offers. In fact, L.A. Reid, he flew out to meet with the guys, but they politely declined his offer. The pair landed a commercial gig for Miller Genuine Draft and pumped all their earnings into their albums. They built word of mouth and an online buzz. Eventually they released their album The Heist in October of 2012. Now the lead single off that album, Thrift Shop, this thing was like a nuclear bomb. Yeah, it went on to become like a viral hit. Kids everywhere were shopping at thrift stores, and it sold like 6 million downloads. Yeah, it was a home run. They followed that with their second single, Can't Hold Us, which also reached #1 on the Hot 100 chart, making Macklemore and Ryan Lewis the first duo in music history to have their first two singles reach the top of the pop charts. And the rest of the story, well, you know the story because I'm out of breath, and this is before they're famous.
And now I see it's just another pair of shoes.
If you guys want to know more, maybe about Ryan Lewis, let me know in the comments down below. I'll be sure to get to that. Also leave your suggestions on future Before They're Famous, also After They're Famous, and Before They're Dead. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. There are links in the comments. Downtown! So I look forward to seeing you guys there as well. I'll get all your suggestions. I'll see you guys in another video.
Cut the bullshit, get off my mother.